Good afternoon, my name is Camden and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be going over my 5-star predictions for 2023. Just like last year, I've picked out 12 books that I think that I will be rating 5 stars this year, 6 of which came out in 2022 and 6 of which have come out or will come out in 2023. Before we hop into the books though, I did just want to make an announcement. I have closed the 100 subscriber giveaway and I have selected the winner. The winner is Sandy. I think that's your name. Big round of applause for Sandy. Congratulations. And with that being said, let's just hop into the books. I did this video last year, and in that video, I tried really hard to use some like predictive factors in order to choose the books that were going to be on the list. So I looked at their average rating. I tried to pick from authors that I have read from and enjoyed in the past. And I also obviously included like my gut feeling of how I felt I would like the book based on the book's description. And last year was such a mixed bag when it came to how well I enjoyed those books. I had books that I DNF'd altogether and books that I rated 5 stars. So I will be having a video coming out in the next few weeks. I'm just trying to finish the last book that was on that list right now. So that video will be coming out in a little while. That will go over all of my thoughts and feelings on all of those 5-star predictions from last year. But because last year was such a mixed bag, I really wanted to change up the way that I selected these books this year. So I pretty much pooled together all of the books that sounded really fascinating to me, were like top of my TBR list. I tried to select the ones that were the most interesting to me, but were also from a variety of genres. I tried to select a mix between YA books and adult books and have kind of an even split when it came to that. And I also tried to pick books from authors from a lot of different backgrounds. So this list is pretty much curated on gut feeling alone. I have so many authors on this list that I have never read from before, but I'm really excited about it and I feel more convinced that this list is going to be successful than I did about last year's list. So we shall see. The results will be in a year, and I'm going to try and vlog all of my thoughts on all of these books this year. Starting off with the books that came out in 2022, the first book on my 5-star predictions list is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. This book is following a god who married an emperor and bore him 3 sons. However, she has been locked up underneath the palace until she is broken out by our 2 other characters, a guard and an outcast, and now they are all on a quest together to overthrow this emperor and restore peace to their land. This book sounds like such an amazing epic fantasy, and it sounds right up my alley. I've also heard that the writing in this book is really unique and amazing, and I'm really excited to experience that and see what everybody's talking about. And the reviews of this one on Goodreads are absolutely glowing, so I am so excited to read this book. It came out back in August and I just haven't gotten my hands on it, but I cannot wait to read it this year. The next book on this list is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I read The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang a couple of years ago, and I don't think I enjoyed it as much as most people did, but her writing is very captivating. If nothing else, The Poppy War taught me that R.F. Kuang is an absolute master when it comes to crafting amazing plots and tackling really difficult topics, and it sounds like this book is going to be a very dense but fascinating dark academia style book. I don't know much more about the plot than that, but the description on Goodreads does say that this book grapples with student revolutions, colonial resistance, and the use of language and translation as the dominating tool of the British Empire, which sounds really interesting and like I could learn a lot from this book. So I'm really excited to read it. I feel like it has been absolutely everywhere on Book Talk, Bookstagram, Goodreads. Everybody seems to be reading and loving this book, so I'm definitely excited to see what I think of it. Next on my 5-star predictions list is a thriller novel by one of my favorite authors, Sally Hepworth, and that is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. I feel like this book has not yet come out in America, but maybe it was already released in 2022 in Australia, where the author is from. However, because I have so many books that I'm excited to read in 2023, I decided to include it on the 2022 side of the list because that's what it says. It was released on Goodreads. This book is following a married couple named Gabe and Pippa who live on the edge of a cliff where a lot of people go to jump and take their own lives. Night after night, our main character Gabe goes out there and tries to talk these people down off the literal edge and convince them that life is worth giving a second shot. However, when one of these people ends up completing suicide and it comes out that Gabe actually knew this victim, Pippa begins to question whether the victim jumped on their own or whether Gabe may have had a little more to do with this death than she initially thought. I have yet to not enjoy a Sally Hepworth novel. Her books are definitely solidly in the domestic thriller side of the genre than like the twisty crime side of the genre, but I really enjoy the way she writes characters and the reveals that come out throughout her books and the interpersonal relationships between all of her characters. So I'm really excited to read this one and see what I think. The next book on this list is the SUNBEARER Trials by Aiden Thomas. I read The Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas 2 years ago now and really loved it. This book in particular is following a 17-year-old trans boy named Tio who is a semidios or a demigod. Tio is entering into a competition called the SUNBEARER Trials where the winner of the competition will carry the light across the sky or to each of the temples or something like that, and the loser will be sacrificed to the god of the sun. This book is inspired by Mexican mythology and obviously is giving very strong Percy Jackson vibes, which are vibes that I would always love to revisit, so I'm really excited to read this one. I have heard such glowing reviews about it and I cannot wait to see if it lives up to the hype. The next book on this list is If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang. This book is following a main character named Alice, who is a scholarship student at an elite boarding school in Beijing. Alice actually has a superpower that she has been keeping a secret. She is able to turn invisible. However, when Alice's parents let her know that they will no longer be able to afford the cost of her tuition, she decides to start monetizing the superpower and charging her classmates a fee to gather any secrets that they want in order to afford her own education. The premise of this book sounds so interesting and original to me. I'm really excited to read it. I feel like it's going to be a very unique coming of age story, and that's also going to kind of get into like the ethics and morals behind what she's deciding to do. Obviously, she's trying to do it for a good cause in order to pay for her own education, but also revealing other people's secrets and scandals. I feel like there's going to be a lot of interesting conversations in this book that I'm really excited to see how the author handles. And the final 2022 release that made it onto my 5-star predictions list is We Deserve Monuments by Jazz Hammonds. This book sounds like it is juggling a lot of different elements to it, and it sounds super duper fascinating to me. It almost sounds like one part queer coming of age story, one part mystery or thriller, and one part love story. So definitely a lot of things at play here. We are following our main character Avery as she and her mother are moving in with her terminally ill grandmother in order to help take care of her. However, it quickly becomes apparent that there is some deep-rooted tension and secrets between her mother and her grandmother, and they have a very strained relationship. Avery is absolutely determined to get to the bottom of where this rift started, and her investigation kind of leads her to learn more information about the history of her town, as well as making some new friends and beginning a relationship. Like I said, it seems like a lot of elements are going to be at play in this story, but I'm really excited to see how this author weaves together all of these different elements and creates a very captivating and impactful story. On to the 2023 releases. The first 5-star prediction that's coming out in 2023 is Song of Silver, Flame Like Night by Amelie Wen Zhao. This book is based on Chinese mythology, and we are following a group of rebel magicians who are looking to overthrow the current regime in their kingdom. This book sounds like it's going to be absolutely amazing, and the cover of it is so freaking beautiful. I cannot wait to read this one. It just came out on January 3rd. So this is a really recent release and I think it's going to be 5 stars. The next book on this list is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. This is the author of We Hunt the Flame, which I have not read, but I have heard a lot of positive things about. And this is going to be her new duology. This book is pitched as being a cross between King Arthur and Peaky Blinders, and it is following a tea room that is a front for vampires selling blood. This book does not come out until February 26th of this year, so there is not a lot of information and not even a cover reveal for this book at this point, but I'm so excited to read it anyway. It sounds super interesting and it sounds very reminiscent of House of Blood by Alexis Henderson that came out last year, so I love the blood selling trope. Apparently. The next book on this list is Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sambury. I read Blood Like Magic by this author last year and I'm currently reading the sequel Blood Like Fate. However, her new book is coming out on February 28th and this is the description for it that has really captured my attention. Daisy sees dead people, something impossible to forget in bustling ghost-packed Toronto. She usually manages to deal with her unwanted ability, but she's completely unprepared to be dumped by her boyfriend. So when her mother inherits a secluded mansion in northern Ontario, where she spent her childhood summer, Daisy jumps at the chance to escape. But the house is nothing like Daisy expects, and she begins to realize that her experience with the supernatural might be no match for her mother's secrets, nor what lurks within these walls. A decade later, Brittany is desperate to get out from under the thumb of her abusive mother, a best-selling author who claims her stay at Miracle Mansion allowed her to see the error of her ways. But Brittany knows that's nothing but a sham. She decides the new season of her popular haunted web series will uncover what happened to a young black girl in the mansion 10 years prior and finally expose her mother's lies. But as she gets more wrapped up in the investigation, she'll have to decide. If she can only bring one story to light, which one matters the most? Daisy's or her own? As Brittany investigates the mansion in the present, Daisy's story runs parallel in the past, both timelines propelling the girls to face the most dangerous monsters of all, those that hide in plain sight. The premise of this book sounds so amazing to me, and I have such good things to say about this author's writing style. I absolutely connected with it in Blood Like Magic, so I'm so excited to read her new novel as soon as I can get my hands on it. In kind of a similar vein as far as haunted houses go, the next book on my list is She is a Haunting by Trang Thanh Tran. This book is set in Vietnam and is following a character who is going back to her family's home in order to visit her father and hopefully convince him to pay for her college education. However, strange things begin happening in the house almost as quickly as she arrives, and she keeps seeing the ghost of a bride in her dream who is telling her not to eat anything in the house. Ever since reading Mexican Gothic a couple of years ago, I realized just how much I love a haunted house or a evil house trope, so I am so excited to read this book as well. This one is coming out, I believe, in February as well. Let me double check. Yes, this one is also coming out on February 28th. What a coinky-dink. The next book on my 5-star predictions list is Atalanta by Jennifer Saint. I have really been loving the modern retellings of Greek mythology stories from a woman's perspective, and this one is going to be following the character of Atalanta, which is one that I'm very familiar with, and I used to listen to like a Jim Weiss audiobook of this story when I was a kid. I'm sure none of you know what I'm talking about, but suffice it to say, I'm really excited to read this one. It is coming out on April 13th, and I cannot wait. And the final book on my 5-star predictions list is Song of the Huntress by Lucy Holland. I just finished Sister Song by Lucy Holland recently, and this book is set many hundreds of years in the future in the same kingdom, and it is following a descendant of one of our characters from Sister Song. Both books are based very heavily on ancient British folklore, and I'm really excited to kind of read this continuation on and experience this author's brand of storytelling again. So I'm super excited to read this one. It's coming out on October 26th. Before closing out this video, I just wanted to give a few honorable mentions, as this list has gone through a lot of iterations before I finally was able to settle on this current list. So there are a lot of books that I ended up not including on this list that I still think are going to be really excellent and I want to shine a spotlight on. So I'll be putting those covers on screen for you to look at as I'm speaking. All of that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a few extra minutes to spare, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. Comment down below, let me know what your 5-star predictions are for this year, and I will look forward to seeing you all in a new video next Friday. Goodbye.